You have criminals in this country who are destroying our nation. They're coming in here, getting earmarked bills and policies to open up businesses, get free housing, get access, easier access than those who are legally immigrated to this country to welfare and other benefits. So, like, as a taxpayer, we have to pay for these guys to have luxuries of life, and we don't get anything, especially Black Americans who suffer so much in the system under Democrats. We don't get anything. That's insane. You talked about Springfield, Ohio, and the whole thing with the fluff talk of, grabbing the soundbite about Haitians or whatever is eating cats and dogs. Y'all trying to change the narrative of what he's really talking about. Change the narrative of really what we're talking about. And telling us that's what we should be discussing. No, this is what we're discussing. This is America. And this is what America is about and what we're discussing.
You know, there's this groundswell of support for the former president that a lot of people in the media and a lot of the Black bougie elite just can't understand. They just can't understand how in the world is Donald Trump receiving so much support in some segments of the Black community. Well, I'll explain it to you. It's because you have younger Black people like myself who have seen what Democratic leadership has done, not just to the Black community at large, but to individual Black families, to individual locales. We've seen what socialism has done. We've seen how the Great Society programs have destroyed the nuclear family, have emasculated men. We've seen how the child support system has damaged a lot of Black men. We've seen how the Democratic Party has become so radical, they've rejected God out of their platform, and they're supporting the LGBTQ agenda. They want to trans your children, and they want to unalive your children. Black people have seen that, and they have said, no, enough is enough. Now, it may not resonate with the old heads, the ones that are part of the civil rights movement and the other triumvirate, like I talk about with the Black pastors and the Greek sororities and the media and the politicians and the entertainers and the athletes. They're going to vote for the Democratic Party because they're paid to vote for the Democratic Party. They get benefits from the Democratic Party. But for everybody else, people are waking up to the reality that the Democratic Party is just using Black folks. Black folks are the useful idiots to usher in their revolution. Black folks are the useful idiots that they turn to every 2 to 4 years to placate them to get their vote. But they really don't care about them. And especially you Black Christians, the ones that call yourself Christian, that go to these church plant churches and listen to these church Negro pastors. You're the ones who say you vote for God, who say you stand for God, but yet you vote for people whose policies are anti-God. Explain that to me. Well, I know why. Because you listen to people like Joy Reid who say the craziest things like this.
Have you noticed how sharply the polls have shifted in Trump's favor over the last couple weeks? With these claims that Trump is surging with Black and Latino voters and leading in every single swing state, according to secret internal polls, despite all the Hitler talk. Yes, this race will be far too close. Because unfortunately, we do have a fascist groundswell in parts of this country, mainly among white men, let's be clear, but in small pockets among Black and brown men too. This happens to be a global phenomenon as women become more economically independent and seek positions of power.
So if you support Donald Trump, you are a fascist and a misogynist. Got it. And then they tried out Stacey Abrams to reiterate.
Do you agree that Black men who are not voting for Harris and who didn't vote for you, as the pastor sees it, are misogynist? As he said, misogyny is still real in our community.
I would say, number one, I know it's a shock to everyone, but sexism remains real and a very pertinent issue. But I want us to be really clear that Kamala Harris is doing very well with Black men. Black men are the second strongest cohort of Democratic voters. What we're seeing, though, is that she is showing them due respect by actually speaking to their issues. And those issues differ from other cohorts. I'm not quite certain why there is this panic about Black men voting. They vote. In fact, they vote more than their counterparts in any other community for Democrats. However, we do have to acknowledge that there is sexism, there is racism, There are challenges in our electorate, and that's why it's so important that Kamala Harris is going everywhere and talking to everyone. She respects voters, she meets them where they are, and she refuses to be told that she has lost a cohort, lost a community, simply because she's different. The best candidates recognize that you win by meeting people where they are, and Kamala Harris is doing that every single day, and will keep doing it for the next 14 days until we get to Election Day.
As a biblical conservative, she's not speaking to my issues. She's not coming against the unaliving of children. She's not standing up for religious freedom. She kicked Christians out of her events. She's not supporting educational opportunity, school choice. She's against it. She calls it schemes. The Democratic Party calls them schemes. She's not for traditional family. She endorses all kind of alternative lifestyles. She's not. She's not for that. She's not for biblical marriage at all. So she doesn't speak to my issues. And these issues that Stacey Abrams said that she speaks to that pertains to black men, no, they don't. Black men like any other men. Just because you're going to say you're going to legalize weed, you think black folks going to vote for you? Please. Are you speaking to what's going on when it comes to family court and custody and those kind of things? How child support is hurting a lot of black men and how it's unequal in the family court system when it comes to child support, when it comes to things like that? She's not going to speak on those things because she doesn't care about that. She doesn't have real policy solutions. She doesn't. She just thinks that just because she says she's black, black folks are going to vote for her. Well, she got another thing coming.
Over the weekend, I attended a meeting of the self-described Black Republican Club of Philadelphia and asked that group of Trump supporters what they expect to happen.
I believe Trump is going to win because, first off, when people say bad things about him, where does that affect us down here? That doesn't affect our neighborhoods. It has never affected our neighborhoods. We don't even get to see half the things that go on that level.
We know that he's going to win because he is the best for America. He's worried about our economy.
The crime is high. Yeah. The violence is high. The schools are bad. Yeah. We can go on and on. Where Democrats have been in charge for 40 years.
We're voting for Donald Trump unequivocally. Period. No one else is going to persuade us. We 2 weeks out, and we won't sleep until November the 6th.
So you know who you're voting for?
Yes, I'm voting for Trump, definitely.
Tell me why.
He's more strong-minded in a way. He's focused on what we got to focus on. Like, he doesn't play. That's what I respect about him.
He doesn't play?
Yeah, he doesn't play. He always just stands for what he believes, and he doesn't go back. No matter how many people are bashing him, no matter people is criticizing him, nothing.
He doesn't take BS. He's not going to hear it. He's a businessman. He's not there for the fluff talk of politics. We need someone strong. We need someone who's going to get down to business and take care of what this country needs, but also understands what the community needs.
The thing is, we were scared in the beginning because he said he's going to nuke Korea and he's going to nuke Iran, but he didn't do that. The stock market went up. There were more.
Pretty high right now, too.
Well, but the thing is, because there was no inflation back then. Democrats take granted, especially minorities. They take for granted because they think Republicans are so out of touch with the minorities' needs, so they don't have any choice. And I think that's going to be a big surprise.
You got pockets that there's an energy for Mr. Trump in the city, but a lot of people just walking down the street, they not feeling the Democrats from time to time. Not sure if they're going to vote for Trump.
Yeah.
He may not vote at all. The black men that don't vote for Democrats, it's not what Mr. Trump did. It's what have you been disappointed with. I'm not a dedicated Republican. I'm voting for the lesser two evils this time, being Mr. Donald Trump.
I also asked those voters about Vice President Harris and how they view her candidacy. What are your feelings, and let me start with the women here, about Kamala Harris?
She's a woman of color. I'm not putting her down because of that, and I'm not putting her down because she's a woman. I'm not a feminist, so I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, I don't think that she has the personality. I don't think that she has what it takes to go up against Putin and go up against these other presidents that are built for this. I don't want to be scared because my president is scared. I want my president to feel secure and manly and about it.
We brought up gender, right? Like, do you think it matters that she's a woman and people aren't comfortable having a woman in a top leadership role?
No, I don't think that, because most men, they love their mothers. They love their wives. So as a woman, most men, they respect a woman, but she just don't have the qualification or the education to really run America, because she don't have the experience. She don't understand our struggles. And for me to believe you for another 4 years, you're crazy. Like, you're crazy. You're saying the same thing that you said 4 years ago.
So the fact that she's the vice president,
that's
to
just
you
the
is
bottom line.
You're like, you've been here, you've had a chance.
Yes. Well, for me, the very first time I ever heard the name Kamala Harris, it was in association to locking up parents for truancy. That was the first time I ever heard of her name. And I really didn't understand how this person claims to be a black woman, but yet she's locking up black women and black men and separating families.
This is the thing that is, Trump talks about this a lot. He says, you know, Kamala Harris became black when it was convenient. Can you talk to me about, do you agree with him on that? Do you feel like she's wearing her blackness?
Absolutely. When she sworn to the Senate, it was as the first Indian American.
Thank you.
Which is, it's fine. We don't care.
We all know she's not black. Let's understand that. We are all clear of that. But my point of view is, like I told you earlier, she's already been there. She's in office right now.
She was shocked by their responses, but at least she listened to them. Now, if Joy Reid, first of all, Joy Reid wouldn't even step foot into that, because she knew she would have to hear from those folks all the lies she's been telling about black people and about Trump. It is good to see that black people are starting to wake up to the lies that have been spun and told by the Democratic Party and by the church plant pastors and by the black bougie elite to keep black people voting for the Democratic Party. People are starting to wise up to the fact that they have agency, that they don't have to vote for a Democrat just because that person is a Democrat, and they don't have to vote for someone because they share the same ethnicity and share the same gender. Vote your values as a Christian. Vote the policy that closely aligns with what you believe in. Because we're not victims. We are empowered for greatness.